interact via the comment section is at Smart 24 TV Live. And of course, Smart 24 TV, the only business channel in East Africa, is also found on Go TV channel 394 and DSTV channel 372. So you can sit back always with your family and watch business content unfold on your screen 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And in this, of course, edition of Financial Markets, always we look back and look forward to what we should expect for the second quarter and the third quarter as well for the year. Thank you very much for choosing to join us, and we will dive right into the business. Now, financial markets in East Africa, we have had a series of serious trouble when it comes to our indices in the stock market, especially in the first and second quarter, with companies registering declines in performance, as well as foreign investors actually moving out of our markets. And this, of course, harmed not only the indices, but also the economies as well. In these particular cases, we are talking about the Ugandan economy and the Kenyan economy, and as well as Tanzania and Rwanda and Burundi, which doesn't have a stock exchange at the moment. But at least we can say things were not as easy. Of course, various banks, central banks in East Africa, raised their central bank rate, the CBR, of course, to tame the inflation that was ravaging the economy. And definitely this had an impact on how people were borrowing money, and the private sector was extremely harmed. And this did not also spare our stock markets, with several investors moving to more attractive debt market instruments abroad. However, we saw a recovery within the third quarter as, of course, people returned to the markets, as activity started to intensify. And right now we are past the third quarter of the year. Of course, when it comes to financial markets, we look at a quarter as a very significant period. That is the period it takes for, of course, several things to change. And so you will find yourself that every after a quarter, you have several companies going off, several companies coming on board. And definitely we always have quarterly bulletins from the Capital Markets Authority, which we shall also be analyzing here on the show. But to do a private sort of analysis, the markets didn't actually decline as much as we would have expected within this third quarter. Nairobi also returned to activity after their general election. Remember that time before the election, due to anticipation of violence after the election, which has been the norm, there was slight, there was a slight effect on how the markets were actually performing, but surprisingly, it didn't affect the markets that much. People continued trading, and later on, with the announcement of the new president, Mr. President William Ruto, there was sanity, and definitely the market started to soar once again. Here in Uganda, the story was kind of, on and off market, movements. Several companies were showing some intensified activity, others were quite dormant. But all in all, we are seeing a ray of hope, of course, with the economy being affected by several factors surrounding various things, such as the pandemic, which has also just been recovered from, the Russia-Ukrainian war, which was also putting a lot of pressure on imported goods such as wheat, cooking oil, and so many others, and also petroleum products, particularly diesel and petrol. These also had their prices soar. But fortunately, we are still here to tell the tale, and we always have hope for the day, for the new month, and it is always good to begin again. One thing I can tell you, no matter how bad things look, always try to begin again, and pick up your mat and walk and try to see that you make your next big move. Now, on financial markets, we definitely look at your savings and say, hey, how can you make use of that saving money to make a little extra income? This is what NSSF is doing. This is what various pension schemes are doing. This is what collective investment schemes are all about. This is what financial markets are all about. For you to be able to use your savings in order to make some more money, and putting these savings or investing these savings into various asset classes that will yield a return in the long or short run, depending on your interest as an individual. And of course, the show is proudly brought to you by Altex East Africa. Altex East Africa is one of the private securities exchanges in East Africa, the biggest, I can say. And Altex East Africa is regulated by the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda. Now, Altex East Africa is a company that is dedicated to produce for you products, to get you, avail to you different financial products, including treasury bonds and treasury bills, with the help of your smartphone. Now you can dial *292# under the Azabu initiative, and you will straight away access various treasury bonds and bills for sale or for buying. And if you're a buyer, you can always buy. And if you're a seller, you want to sell some of your instruments, you can still also make use of this platform that they have been, of course, able to put in place with the partnership of MTN Momo. You can also transfer funds now from your MTN mobile money onto your account to be able to purchase some of these instruments. And when you do this, you will receive a notification on your phone that your transaction has been made. Remember, the markets at Altex East Africa open at exactly 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. Altex East Africa, do something new. That is one of the innovations that, of course, has come up within this period. But also, last week, as we wound up the month and the quarter, something new also came on board with the debt instruments. Housing Finance Bank launched an online portal through which many people can be able to access different instruments, especially treasury bonds. And this portal was launched at Mestil Hotel on Monday at 7 a.m. With this portal in place, users will be able to buy and sell different instruments on the treasury bond market here in Uganda. Remember, for starters, treasury bonds are long-term loans to government. These are long-term instruments that you issue to government and make yourself a lender of government, and government is able to pay you with a return. And this return is divided into two parts. You have a 6-month return that comes every after 6 months. That is for your longer-term treasury bonds. And then you have a single coupon that comes in at the end of the maturity of a treasury bill, which is a rather short-term basis loan. Now, these loans have been, of course, very inaccessible, sometimes requiring a lot of paperwork and getting to your primary dealer. Your primary dealer, or PD, is basically the commercial bank, one of the commercial banks that is licensed to carry out secondary market trading. And in Uganda, we have only 8 of those commercial banks. And usually it's easier when you have an account in those banks to be able to trade on the secondary market. So there have been quite many hurdles that had to be overcome. But Housing Finance Bank introduced its portal. This portal will help different users access all the various treasury bonds with a click of a button, and they will be able to do away with all the bureaucratic systems that have been in place in order to access treasury bonds. Probably on the show one time this week, we could have someone from Housing Finance Bank, maybe to throw more light on what this initiative is all about. But all these initiatives are there to help you get to understand better and also get to shake you up so you can actually start your investment in the treasury bond and treasury bills market, or the debt market. And in the financial markets, this is a very important market because it's the only market that has been marked by analysts as almost close to 100% risk-free, meaning you can carry out your trades, you can be able to do your business without any fear of losing your money, because government is not a defaulter. Government will never default, so they will always return your money, but remember, you're going to get an interest every after a specific while. And this is where the country is moving. This is where we are moving. And of course, recently, Mr. Kasaija, the finance minister, came up and said that government is looking for money. So there is one way government can raise money. This is through the treasury bonds. It's through the treasury bills. These are instruments that are giving opportunity also to you as a person, as an individual, as an institution, as an investment club, to be able to lend government. And government is promising an interest on that lending there. And of course, there are various other things that you could, of course, do within the financial markets. Now, in East Africa, basically in Uganda as well, we have mainly two markets, the stock market at the moment and the debt market. Now, the stock market, of course, we analyze companies that are giving out shares to the public in order to raise capital. And this is done on two platforms, either the primary market, which is the very first time a company is listing, and this is the time when people are buying shares into a company for the first time, meaning the company is going public for the very first time. And during this time, you're raising capital towards the company. So the money you're contributing goes into the coffers of the company. And now, this period, of course, this primary market doesn't last forever. It lasts for only a short time, depending on the rules of listing of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, after the primary market, we move on to what we call the secondary market, and this is where we have the activity among us, different individuals, different institutions buying and selling shares. So these people who bought shares on the primary market can now still be able to sell these shares on the secondary market and make a profit, and this is called a capital gain, or sometimes make a loss. It's it's both ways. And these markets, of course, are regulated. The markets also have different players like stock brokers, those people who mediate between the individuals in the public and the companies that are listed, as well as the Uganda Securities Exchange. Those are stock brokers. And in Uganda, so far at the moment, you cannot buy shares in any company before you actually get through a stock broker. So you must have a stock broker who is going to be able to buy and sell on your behalf. Those are the rules at the moment. And of course, the stock market has been in existence since 1997, where of course now we're almost celebrating 25 years. That will be very soon. And this, of course, has come with several milestones and challenges, and definitely more work to do. At the moment, we have in the stock market about 130,000 investors that have been able to invest in the stock markets here in Uganda at the Uganda Securities Exchange. And according to remarks from Mr. Paul Buiso, and according to other directors, even the chairman, that is Mr. Byarugaba Richard, who is also the managing director of the National Social Security Fund, there is more work to do. There is more sensitization to do. And this is why this show is in place, to let you know that there are other avenues of investing apart from land, rentals, property, real estate, and so many others that you've always thought about when you got money. You can still become a part owner of a big company. You can still be one of the people that say, I own shares in Stanbic, I own shares in MTN, and so many others. And so this is the mindset that we want to impart in you, in the public, to be able to put aside some money for investment within some of these instruments. And so definitely, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the show is all about. And we always try to break down and analyze the markets of the previous trading day. And in Uganda, the trades are from Monday to Friday. And when you look at the time, the stock market in particular opens at 9 a.m. and closes at 1 p.m. East African Standard Time. And we always want to look at who lost and who gained, and which companies have been active, who are the top movers, what should we expect, and where should we put our shares. Of course, this is all up to you as an individual to make a decision to become an investor within these stock markets. But at the moment, definitely we always get into the stock market performances for the previous day of trading. And being a Monday, we look at Friday tradings because we don't have trading on the Saturdays and Sundays. And so when you look at last Friday's trading here in Uganda, it was a quite bullish market with over 5 companies participating in trade, and all these being domestically listed companies. And they had quite a good, interesting volumes here. We had several companies like Cipla, we had Stanbic, we had Uganda Clays, and Umeme, who came out as a top mover for the day. However, when we look at the gaining list, we had 7 gainers, and none of them was actually a Ugandan company. All the companies that gained are cross-listed from Nairobi. Now remember, like I said, gaining and losing entirely depends sometimes on the demand and supply of a certain stock. Just like any other products economics. If you have a product on the market, the higher the demand, definitely the higher the price. The lower the demand and the more the supply, the lower the price in most cases, because it shows that people are not actually in need or are not yearning for a certain good. And so that's how the markets also work out here on the stock market. We always want to know where is the interest of the people. However, for cross-listed companies, there are several other factors which we look at, and including the exchange rate, including the activity of this company on the domestic exchange, and so many others. These are some of the things we want to look at when we look at the cross-listed companies. And looking at Friday trades, there were only 5 participants, and all these were domestic, meaning local companies here in Uganda. However, the gainers were none of these. So this explains exactly what I was mentioning, that much as demand and supply are factors to consider, there could be other factors that could be leading to a certain price shift. We're going to take a quick breather. When we return, we look at the detailed performance of each of these companies and how you can choose a share. That is, of course, what's coming up next after the quick breather. Stay with us. You're watching Smart 24 TV, and we drive your business.
Smart 24, driving business.